11:05 to play in the ball game. There's a handoff. Joe Williams. He runs into Rick Gamboa off the right-hand side. Ball is fumbled. Picked up by Kenneth Olabode. And he runs it in from the 6. Touchdown! Touchdown, Colorado! The defense comes up big again.
Well, the improbable has become a reality as the rise continues here at Folsom Field. The Buffaloes wrap up the regular season as they knock off number 22 Utah 25-22. They secure the Pac-12 South Championship. They're 10-2 in the season, 8-1 in Pac-12 conference play. Back here in the Stampede, Gary Barnett and Mark Johnson. I'm still not sure how it's happened, but here we stand. The Buffaloes are on their way to Santa Clara for the Pac-12 title game next week.
Mark, it's just a bunch of guys, coaches and players, that made a decision that things were going to change, and they were led by a warrior, Sefo Lufau, along with some coaches. And you know what? It's just one of those stories that works, and it works here. And, you know, I listened to the players come out, and they were saying, boy, there were so many fans here. And Derek Swanson says, you know, it used to be like this all the time. So, and that's what it is like. When you're on a roll and you're playing like this place is rocking. And there's no greater place to play. And, you know, these guys deserved every person that showed up.
Yep.
And, you know, they played a really tough team. This team, you know, they beat SC. They lost by 6 to Washington, or 7. They've beaten every other Pac-12 South teams.
Yep.
This is a good football team. And we didn't bring our best game on offense. We did on defense, but we didn't bring our best game on offense. And somehow we found a way to scratch and claw and win a really tough football game.
Yeah, by the way, that crowd here tonight, the first official sellout at Folsom Field since Texas came in here during the Big 12 days, taking the Buffaloes back in 2008. So it's been a while since we've had a sellout here, 8 years, in fact, at Folsom Field. That defense you talk about, I'm not even sure I can come up with superlatives anymore to talk about it. It was phenomenal. They got the scoop and the score, the strip by Moeller and Gamboa, picked up by Olabode. That made it 27 to 16, I guess, at that point in time, and kind of sealed this victory. But, Gary, that defense just continues to make plays time after time after time.
Well, we said in the keys of victory that if this defense is just do what they do and the way they do it, and I'll be darned, they held them to exactly 30% conversion on third down. They got more sacks than did the number 1 sack team in the conference. They got more tackles for a loss than the number 1 tackle for a loss team. They got 2 interceptions off a team that had thrown the fewest interceptions all year. So they just did what they do, and they just sort of smother you. They don't do it fancy. They just smother you. Those 3 big guys just fill gaps. Linebackers run around, and then the secondary, I'll tell you, that's how you win championships, is to have a secondary that plays like this secondary. When you're good in the back end, you can make a lot of things go the other way for you.
Tedrick Thompson had 2 more interceptions ball game. In fact, had a chance at a third one, couldn't hold on to it. He's got 7 on the season. That ties the Colorado record. Dick Anderson, Cullen Bryant. You're talking about some pretty rarefied air when you get your name over those 2 fellas.
Well, and they played in a time when they weren't throwing the ball 60 times a game. You know?
That's true.
And they weren't playing 12 games. So, you know, he's had a great year, but he's had a lot of help too. Those other 3 corners and Laguda have helped him a lot. And you know, the guy that was Player of the Week didn't even play this week.
That's right.
Player of the Week from last week, Nick Fisher didn't even get in the game except on special teams. So that's depth in that secondary. But Jim Levitt and Mike McIntyre and all the assistant defensive coaches have put together a defense that I don't think any of us thought was possible. I thought we'd be better, but I didn't see this coming at all.
So the Buffaloes are on to the Pac-12 title game next week against the University of Washington, a team that, by the way, dismantled on Friday night their rival, Washington State, in the Apple Cup. That's a pretty good football team the Buffs are going to see in Santa Clara.
Well, that's as solid a team as I've seen. You know, it's hard to believe SC beat those guys if they played the way they played the other day or yesterday. And I know that's a big game for them, and they get up, but they were defensively, they were solid. Special teams, they were really good. And offensively, quarterback's a great player, and they got a couple great playmakers. So we're going to have our hands full, but you know, it's supposed to be hard when you get there.
Yeah. I don't think I'm betting against the Buffaloes.
No, I wouldn't bet. Not this year. You know, if the Cubs can win and all the other things that have happened.
Raiders are good and craziness.
Yeah, an election. Who knows? Buffs could be there.
It is like bizarro world in the sports world, and the Buffaloes after a 10-year drought. And believe me, Buff Nation, you know what I'm talking about. We suffered together for a long time. But the Buffaloes are into the Pac-12 title game. They're South champions. By the way, our coverage on Saturday, make it Friday afternoon in Santa Clara, gets underway at 5 o'clock on the Colorado Football Network. The kickoff between the Buffs and the Huskies at 7 o'clock. For Gary Barnett, I'm Mark Johnson. Stay with us. We're going to continue talking about a great victory. Colorado secures the South by knocking off Utah. We're back in a moment.